Morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a good weekend. It was nice to be back in 70-degree weather. So today I'm going to briefly go over the results of the learning strategies inventory that you all completed yesterday, and we'll talk just a little bit about why each one of those topics is kind of important, especially to this class. And then we'll get into our inverted lecture for today over the 255 material that you had last semester and what we briefly reviewed on Friday. So this will bring us back up to kind of where we should be, more or less. So there were 11 questions on the learning strategies inventory. The first one was, I always preview the material that will be discussed before I go to class. Why is that so important to this class? So you don't get lost? That's a good one. What else? You got bacon, that's why. So,
So you know which notes you need to take and what's important and what's not.
Okay, good. Anything else?
You can ask good questions about
Okay, very good. I like to think of this question as how you paint a room in a house, right? You have to prepare the wall before you put the paint on there if you want it to stick. And the information that you have in this class needs to stick, right? Because what you learn in this chapter, actually what you learned all last semester is relevant this semester. What you learn today and what you learn next week, it's all going to build, right? So you want that information to stick. And so you need to prime the wall, right? And the only way to prime your brain is to look at the material before you come to class. You shouldn't be coming to class thinking, what are we going to be doing, right? So if at the very least you preview the material, it's going to be a lot better for you. Only about 26% of you indicated that is true. So this is an area of caution. We need to get better at that particular learning strategy. I go over my lecture notes as soon as possible after lecture to rework them and note problem areas. Why is that important to this class?
So you can make sure you learn the information.
Okay. Why else? Because it's fresh in your brain. That's exactly right. Okay? So if you wait a couple of days before you go over things, you're going to forget what you forgot. You're going to forget what you struggled with in class. So going over it as quickly as you can. Now, I know many of you have classes right after this. You can't just immediately do it. But within a day or so, you should try to go over the notes as soon as possible and note problem areas. Once you've noted problem areas, that gives you an idea of questions asked during office hours or tutorial sessions or whatever the case may be, right? The worst thing that a tutor or myself can get is with a student coming in and just saying, I don't get it. I don't know where to help you, right? But if you come in and you say, I really struggled with this particular reaction, I can help you with that, right? So I need to know kind of where you don't get it, so to speak. And again, this is something that I think we all can improve on, with about 26% of us marking that as true, okay? I try to do my homework without using example problems as a guide or copying answers from my class notes or textbook. Why is that so important to a class like this? You don't have those on a test, do you? Right? So practicing like we want to play. I was pretty impressed with this one. About 85% of you marked this as true, right? So giving it the good old college try, as they like to say, struggling through it, right? And trying to answer the questions without your class notes or textbook is a great way to practice for the exam. Regularly go to office hours or tutoring to discuss problems or questions about the homework. Now, I don't have a lot of office hours, right? But we do have tutoring sessions afterward, or from time to time. We do have times that we meet before the exams, right? Very important. I think you all get that one, right? But again, only about 26% of us mark that one as true. Now, my office hours are by appointment. So if you have any kinds of issues, just email me. We'll set up an appointment and we'll meet. But it's very, very important that you kind of nip in the bud any problems that you have as early as possible. Do not be afraid to ask for help. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're not smart. It actually means you're very intelligent because you know your limitations, you know where you need help. Okay? I rework all of the homework problems and questions before the test or quiz. Why is this important? Not just to work, but to rework. Practice makes perfect. I like that. They could be on the test. Absolutely. What else? I like the practice makes perfect, right? I like yours too, but I don't always just put stuff that comes off the homework, do I?
That's true.
That is true. And again, about 82% of you indicated that this one is true. So I like the fact that most of you go back and rework some of those problems before a test or a quiz, okay? I spend some time studying for this class at least 5 days per week outside of class. Why is that important? Okay, yeah, taking it in small chunks keeps you from having that pressure of the cram before the exam kind of stuff. Little bits as you go is a lot easier. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Little bits, little bits, little bits. And so this is an elephant, right? There's a lot of information that is coming your way. Okay? So, a little cautious here, right? Only 44% of us indicated that is true. It's much better if you take 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that, 5 times a week, as opposed to taking that same amount of time just once a week, okay? Because doing it at that pace tends to work better for a class like this. I make mnemonics for myself to help me remember facts and equations, okay? Everybody has their own little way of remembering things. About 63% of you indicated that is true. You know, when I was in learning chemistry and trying to remember PV equal nRT, we came up with all kinds of things, PubNert and things like that, that you just kind of stuck in your head and you kept it. So whatever works for you is what you need to do to make sure that you remember facts and equations. Not a whole lot of equations in organic chemistry, right? But there are a lot of facts, right? What favors an SN2 reaction? What favors an SN1 reaction? If you can come up with some cutesy little way to keep that in your head, great. You know, it works. Okay? I make diagrams or draw mental pictures of the concepts discussed in class. This is actually quite important to this class, right? This is a very visual class in a lot of respects. We're talking about things in 3 dimensions. We're talking about how leaving groups leave and things get into a particular shape. All kinds of different things like that, okay? So it's very important to be able to draw mental pictures of the concepts that we discuss. This is not the type of class where just regurgitating facts will get you through it, right? You have to be able to apply it, okay? I was pretty pleased with this. About 78% of you marked this as true, so that's good. I participate in a study group where we do homework and quiz ourselves on the material. Again, very important to a class like this because each and every one of you have your own set of strengths, and if you get together, use those strengths wisely, you can help each other out, right? This is not a competition between people in the class. When I write a letter of recommendation, I rarely will give your class rank in this. I never look at your final exam scores and go, so-and-so was number 3 in the class. I usually talk about how well you did, how well you participated. I will talk about your ACS final exam, right? But I don't say how you did compared to the rest of the class, okay? So it's not a competition between your peers in here. It's just a competition with yourself. So get with your peers and work. So I was pretty happy with this. About 74% of you indicated this is true. I rework all of the quiz and test items I missed before the next class session. Not too bad, but I think there's room for improvement here, right? When you get problems back and I've graded them, one of the things that students like to do is just look at the grade and go, yay or right? But what you really want to do is you want to look at that feedback that's provided, and you want to rework that so that you understand it. So you need to do that as quickly as possible, okay? And the last question that we had was, I realize that I can still do well in this class even if I have done poorly on the quizzes and tests up to this point. Well, up to this point we've had nothing, right? But you can always do better in this class, right? And remember the policy. What's the policy? If you do better on the final and you've done everything in the class, I'll give you the better of the 2 grades, right? So if you've got a B going into the final and you ace the final, I'm going to give you the A, okay? So there's always opportunity to improve. You're never mathematically at a disadvantage in this class as long as you do your work, okay? And so I was pretty happy with that, 96%. I want to know who the one person was that said they didn't know this, because this, no, I don't really want to know. But anyway, 96% of you marked this as true. So that was good.